Hey guys, Jess from Knockout Print Shop, and today I have for you my March reflection. So we're going to go over that together, kind of talk you through how I use this sheet, and it helps me set my goals for April, so I'll talk about that a little bit as well. So I did this sheet about a week ago from when I'm filming it, and then we went on a little family vacation, so I'm hoping I remember kind of the bullet points of what I wrote on the sheet. Otherwise, this video could get long. Okay, so the first section here on the insert is memories or highlights. So basically what I've done this past month to kind of stay on top of this a little bit better, so it's a little easier to reflect, is I've been using, like I did last month, the sidebar grid sticker that we came out with to create a little highlight section. So I flip through that and kind of see what the highlights were each week, and then based on those weeklies, I pick my 3 highlights or memories from the week or from the month. So this month we went to Nashville, the Nashville area, on our little road trip with the dogs to pick out our new apartment because we're moving to Nashville the end of May. So we signed a lease, so that was exciting. That was a good highlight. The other thing we did this past month in March, was hired our graphic designer for our rebrand, which is really exciting. And the last thing was my little antiquing adventure. Matt and I went antiquing together in Raleigh. We were basically pretending we were Chip and Joanna Gaines, so that was fun. So those were the highlights of the month, and I actually kind of like doing this now, and I've found that by doing the little weekly highlights as well, it definitely helps me kind of get a sense of remembering how my week went and just kind of highlighting some positive things that happened, because it's easier to just let weeks go by and not really think about kind of what you accomplished or what happened that was a positive or good memory. So that's the first section. Second section are the things that I accomplished. So again, I always do this in 3s. If you see my videos, everything has to be in 3s. Number 1 was finished a book. I don't know about you guys, but I suck at finishing books. I will start a bunch of books and never finish them. But I've kind of have this little thing now that I'm trying to finish a book before I go on to the next one, and I'm really trying hard to read all the books I have before I buy new ones. I'm kind of like, I buy books and then I don't always read them. So I actually finished a book this month, which was awesome. Number 2 accomplishment was I made a Pullman sourdough loaf. So that was a new recipe for me with sourdough. And one of my goals for March, let me get to my mission board, was to make a new ferment. So that was still a sourdough, but a different kind of recipe. So that went okay. Still working on my sourdough skills. It's a work in progress. You definitely have to kind of learn the bread and the dough and the whole process. It's very different than just throwing some yeast in there. And then number 3 is just got ahead. So Matt and I have been for months now, since the launch of the 2019 planner, just kind of forever feeling like we're just barely on track as far as getting things done and getting things out on time. But now that we've gotten through all of converting all the listings and we can kind of slow down and focus on some different things, I feel like we finally have gotten a plan in place and gotten to a point where we are ahead versus constantly feeling pressured and stressed to hit our self-imposed deadlines. Okay, so number 3, this section here is all about lessons that you learned that month. So for me this month, the first one was pause and take things one step at a time. The beginning of this month, my little fur son, Champy, kind of re-hurt his leg, that he's got injured legs, and he's a little doggy wheelchair when we go on walks, and he kind of somewhat got re-injured, which freaked me out. So that made me realize, just be patient, just like when humans get injured, just be patient over time. One day at a time, things will get better. It's easy to get freaked out when something doesn't go your way or something bad happens. So just kind of, again, and then just with the business and just life in general, taking things one step at a time and pausing. In the initial moment something happens that either is exciting or frustrating, it's easy to just kind of spiral and just get emotionally and try to react. But if you pause and take things one step at a time, things usually work out. So that was a good lesson this month. The other thing was to be proactive versus reactive, which kind of goes hand in hand with the thing I said before, and create a plan. Something we've realized with our business is that we've spent a lot of time reacting to things. So if you have your own business, or just in life in general, that things happen that are unexpected or frustrating or feel defeating, and you react and try to instantly change it. And I think that kind of plan can work in some situations, but it's much more productive to be proactive and kind of let things happen as they do, but set a plan in place and see how the plan unfolds, and then make micro adjustments as needed, and then make bigger adjustments for the next month versus attacking every little, oh, this happened, now we have to fix it. Oh my God, we're not having as many sales, or this system isn't working the way it should, and constantly trying to put out these fires instead of going, okay, it is what it is, let's put this plan in place, see how it unfolds, and learn from that, and then make changes. So that's been a big deal this past month. And then the last one is kind of less is more and being realistic in pretty much all areas of your life. So I, this month in March, had planned, I'd done really great in February with doing my French 3 times a week. So I'm like, okay, it's time to up it to 4 times a week. And I based that decision on just my success with the previous month. And instead of saying, let me continue with that trend and really continue to ingrain the 3 times a week practice, I'm like, I got this. Let me try 4 times a week. And I didn't do as well. I actually still did well, but I didn't like it. I felt like I had to do it. So I think sometimes we get a little overzealous, and it might seem like, well, what is one more day of 15 minutes? That's not that big of a deal. But again, our psyche does not like a lot of change, and it's really important to really integrate habits before you continue to feel like every time that progress is always about adding more. So I definitely think less is more, like being more realistic with goals you set, habits that you're setting, and things in life, to realize that consistency really trumps everything, and that progress isn't always measured by doing more. So that was my 3 lessons. Now, kind of going on from that, we have our habit section. So I usually focus on 3 habits a month that you'll find I use my vertical habit tracker. So basically what I do is I take my monthly mission board goals that are based on my annual and quarterly goals, and then I set some habits based on these. So my habits this month were French 4 times a week, do InDesign 3 times a week, and in bed by 11 p.m. So we talked about a little bit about this one, upping it from 3 to 4. I still got 100%. And with this habit tracking, I take the little our outlined habit trackers, and I go in the beginning of the month and I put in all the days with the outlined one, and as I complete it, I put the little mini hex inside of it. So, and I marked these out. These are the days we were on the road trip. So I knew I probably wasn't going to be doing that, but then I made up for it with a couple bonus days. So I still got 16 out of 16 days. So I got 100% there, but I did realize that I prefer the 3 times a week. I actually look forward to it. It works with my schedule, and it's just a better situation for me. So my next step is for April, I just set it at 3 times a week. My next one was InDesign, learning the Adobe InDesign program, and that was set at 3 times a week. I only got a 67%, and what I realized here was kind of in that same lesson learned as less is more. I thought, oh, I'll practice InDesign 3 times a week. Having not done that before in the past, just adding this new habit was a little bit much when it wasn't something that needed to be done daily, and I was a little bit overzealous with that goal. So I only got 8 out of 12. I was doing okay at first, but then it started to become something that just wasn't happening as regularly as I had intended. So I think it was just too much. Instead of focusing on doing more days, I think I need to spend more time just with the program and learning, and not thinking again that more days means I'm learning more. So I think my next step for that is going to be dropping down to 2 times a week. And then the last thing is getting in bed by 11 p.m. Doesn't mean you need to be asleep by 11, but just getting in bed by 11 p.m. Got 90% on that. It's a work in progress, and my next step is just to keep working on it. So you can see that here I did pretty good. There's a few days I screwed up, and I think one was a Saturday, which sometimes can be a little off for us, and then I did not actually track it when we were gone for those few days in Tennessee. So this is my process to get a better bedtime routine, so I can eventually start adding in meditation. So it's getting a lot better, but I'm going to just keep working on it, not make any changes to that quite yet. So that's where we are at with those 3 main habits. If you don't use the disc planner, or you don't use our inserts, you obviously have the Inkwell Press habit tracker down here to use for your monthly habits. Okay, next section is goals and projects. So I'm kind of bouncing or continuing off of my bedtime routine, we have my morning routine is improved. So when we were staying up way too late, we were realizing we were getting up too late and we just didn't feel as good. So by going to bed earlier, we're consistently getting up earlier and creating a much better morning routine. So we're getting up on time, on time meaning, by 7:30, taking the dogs now that it's warmed up a little bit, taking the dogs on a little tiny walk down the street, misting my plants, doing my little morning routine, and it's been way better. What did I put here? I put move prep. I don't know what that even means. So next month I just want to continue working on the PM routine so it'll in turn help the morning routine. I do not know what this move prep means that I wrote down. That's interesting. Okay, next goal was to find a new apartment. We did that. Let's see let me go back here. That's not on here, is it? No. So found a new apartment and that was good. Here I wrote set April plan. When I wrote this down, I hadn't finished it yet, but I did. So April plan means we just start to plan out different things with the shops, the collections, our social media posts, stuff like that. So that is actually done now. When I wrote this, I didn't check it off. So you can see here in progress, improving the content schedule. So I'm getting a lot better at planning out our posts and our emails so that things are more cohesive and make more sense and are more beneficial to you guys and to us. And then investment research. So I started this. It's still a work in progress. I had written here on my financial goal to research this bank account pyramid thing. I did research it, but it didn't kind of give me the information that I needed. So I've since then done a little more research on this, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. So that's still a work in progress. And then analyze and reduce screen time. So I've been really frustrated with the fact that I've been spending too much time on my phone, like on social media, particularly Instagram, aimlessly scrolling. And I was doing really well with it, not touching my phone till like 10 a.m. and do different things we had put in place. But then during our road trip, we're in the car so much and I was just on Instagram a lot that it was hard to kind of break that habit again. And when we got back, so now for April, I'm putting a plan in place, which I'll talk about here in a second, to reduce all of the screen time. So those are the goals and projects. Again, I have no idea what the move prep thing means, but I'm sure it'll come to me randomly. Okay, so here we have the gratitudes. Number one, I have technology and how it connects people and opens up new opportunities. So while social media can totally suck and be a bad thing in some ways, it can also be a really good thing. We're moving to the Nashville area. We're not moving to the city of Nashville, we're moving outside of Nashville, but I have some connections I've made through the social media and stuff like that with fellow fitness instructors, and one of them invited me to join this Facebook group that's a Nashville fitness Facebook group. So it's been cool to be able to, before we move, start to connect with some people so that when we get there, I have some social connections. So that's really the one good thing about social media, is it does sometimes open up our opportunities for you to meet people in person. Number two, we had a fun road trip with lots of fun adventures with the dogs. Traveling with the dogs is fun. It can be stressful, but it actually went really well. And we're really excited about our move. And then the last thing, the ability to keep learning and figuring things out. So sometimes if whether you are running a business, you're a parent, you work, in a more traditional job, there's times when things can feel frustrating, like they're not moving as fast as you'd like, or you can't figure out what's keeping you stuck. But the thing that I'm grateful for is that every time I'm in that position, I always kind of reflect back and learn something that I can implement and improve on. So as long as you keep learning, nothing's really a mistake. And then I would rate this month at a 9. It was a pretty good month. It started off a little rocky with Champy messing up his knee and just kind of stuff like that, but it ended up really good. And then I think my theme for the month of March would be proactive. Again, just kind of being proactive and realistic and not just reacting to everything that happens, continuing to set up plans and taking things one step at a time. So that is my March reflection. So I pretty much hit all of my mission board things, in bed every night by 11, my French practice, connecting with people on Facebook, continuing with new content, got the ferment, research the bank stuff, and learning InDesign. So then we have, let me get to April. Is that April? Where's the April mission board? There it is. Okay, so then we have the April mission board. So I went back for my me time one and set that back down to French at 3 times a week. And then continuing on in the Be Social is connecting with Tennessee people on Facebook, in that Facebook group I was just telling you about, and businesses on Instagram. So I've been really trying to follow different local businesses in the area that we're moving to and commenting on their posts and things like that, so that I can start to create connections and then eventually obviously visit these places in person and meet the people and all of that. I'm going to stick with this idea of one new fermentation thing a month. We're really into fermented foods and all the health benefits from that, and doing it at home. So we're going to try a new one this month. I want to try kombucha coffee, or coffee kombucha, and Matt still wants to try his water kefir, like alcoholic water kefir. So we'll probably do one of those two this month. And then over here, health, I'm staying with my bed by 11 every night, and then I'm reducing screen time to 30 minutes a day on social media. So the beginning of April 1st, I posted that I'm going to be working on reducing my screen time with about 10 different criteria. One being phone does not come in the bedroom at night. We've already done that and been doing that for about a month. 2, not picking up the phone to look at social media and really anything until about 10 a.m. once we're like in work mode. When I do open up social media, I'm only allowed to be on Instagram, particularly for 30 minutes a day. And every time I go on, I have to comment on 2 posts that I see and kind of engage with people, so that it's helping me be more intentional on social media versus just going and scrolling and liking and scrolling and liking. There's a few other criteria that I posted for myself on this little like challenge of reducing screen time. I was really inspired to kind of really work on this again by, I think his name, he's on social media, he has a huge following. He's the one that directed the minimalism documentary, Matt Diwali or something, and then he had somebody on his podcast his podcast is The Ground Up Show, I think, and he had a guy on whose company or blog is called Break the Twitch, and they kind of talk a lot about this, and it just really kind of inspired me to focus again on reducing screen time and the benefits of that and everything. As far as financial, I'm gonna keep doing my research on investments. We don't have a ton of investments other than more basic savings and IRAs. So I really want to figure this whole thing out and see how it would work into our current financial setup. So researching is for my financial goal this month. And then InDesign, my dream big, obviously, if you've been following me for a little bit, know that I've said a few times I would like to do more inserts, and I would eventually even like to potentially launch a couple different kinds of planners. We'll see if I can make that a reality at some point, but part of that becoming a reality is really learning to work with InDesign and rough drafting a bunch of different layouts and playing around and seeing what I come up with. So that's my dream big. And then I always add a little business one, and that one says to just plan out Q2 content. So kind of set a whole 3-month plan for the majority of our content on Instagram and Facebook and email. So that is my March 2019 reflection and April goal setting. Let me know if you guys have been using the inserts and how it's been helping you. And if you have any questions, if you don't have the inserts, you can go to knockoutprintshop.com, shop them in the planner insert section. I'm finding it in the past 3 months to be a great tool to help me just kind of slow down, pause, and reflect and get more strategic with my goals and habits and things like that. And then if you did not see, I did create a Q1 reflection that is a free printable in our free printable section. So even if you don't have a disc planner, print it out. Don't worry about punching it. You can washi tape it in your planner or put it in a little pocket, but this is a kind of a good way to reflect on Q1 of 2019. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video.